Good morning. All right. Wow, it's great to see you all. Look at this. And I was this person of little faith, thinking that people wouldn't show on a Wednesday morning at 11:30. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, so I just wanted to give you that 2-minute notice. In the meantime, talk amongst yourselves. And also, if you have cell phones, please put them on worship mode. And we will start very soon.
Tired of talking about money, I gotta say. I mean, it went, it was collegial, and sure, but we've got some really tough things going on here.
Indeed.
I mean, we do. We have no money in our investment. Well, I don't want to paint a really, really negative picture, because obviously we have a very healthy endowment.
Yeah, we don't want to dip into that. It's long and hard.
for peace the whole world wide.
Feed everyone today.
Pray for the end of hurtful pride.
Feed everyone today. Well, there's honey in the rock for all God's children. Honey in the rock, honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock for all God's children. Feed everyone today.
One of these nights round 12 o'clock.
Feed everyone today.
This old world's gonna reel and rock.
Feed everyone today. Well, there's honey in the rock for all God's children. Honey in the rock, honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock for all God's children. Feed everyone today.
Freedom is the song we sing.
Feed everyone today.
We shall make the mountains ring.
Feed everyone today. Well, there's honey in the rock for all God's children. Honey in the rock, honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock for all God's children. Feed everyone today. Freedom is the song we sing. Feed everyone today. We shall make the mountains ring. Feed everyone today. Well, there's honey in the rock for all God's children. Honey in the rock, honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock for all God's children. Feed everyone today. Well, there's honey in the rock for all God's children. Honey in the rock, honey in the rock. There's honey in the rock for all God's children. Feed everyone today.
Good morning. My name is Gail Riley, and I am the president of the Board of Trustees here at Cedar Lane. I want to welcome you to our sanctuary today and thank you for showing up to express your support. I want also to thank the DMV Sanctuary Congregation Network members, as well as the many religious leaders and elected officials who have joined with community members and leaders of all faiths and ages to support Doña Rosa Gutierrez Lopez and her family. You will hear from many faithful, committed people from all walks of life today. It's going to take all of us to see justice emerge from the challenges and horrors occurring every day across the globe and within the borders of the United States. Thank you for being here.
I'm the Reverend Katie Romano Griffin, Assistant Minister at Cedar Lane. We gather together to hold space in our hearts and our minds for justice to be done for Doña Rosa and her family, who are separated by our unjust system that is deeply steeped in white supremacy culture. Please, as we hold this space and do this work, let us remember that we must continue to pray for all of the families suffering injustices, violence, and hatred that spring up from white supremacy culture, colonialism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, transphobia, and anti-Blackness, and the extraordinary damage these systems and their fallout create. Yes. We all woke up Friday to the horrifying news out of New Zealand. Once again, our hearts are broken. We are mourning with the victims and families impacted by this horrifying attack and with our Muslim siblings worldwide. Let us offer support and solidarity. Let us hold those taken too soon in our prayers. 50 so far. Let us also hold the wounded and the living members of Al-Nur and Linwood masjids in our heart's embrace. May they be surrounded by the healing power of community, prayer, care, and love. We pray for those who feel less safe than ever, for Muslim people everywhere who've lived with this hatred and see its shameless display again in this moment. We hold all for whom this terrible act cuts too close to the bone, all who feel and know that their lives and livelihoods, their homes, houses of worship are threatened by the rising normalcy of words and deeds perpetrated in the name of white supremacy, xenophobia, and Islamophobia. We pray with, offer solidarity to, and commit ourselves to do everything we can to publicly oppose the teachings of hatred against Muslims in the U.S. and across the globe, just as we have risen against teachings of hatred against our African American siblings, our Latinx siblings, asylum seekers, refugees, and our immigrant neighbors. We must not let these murders be commemorated only by words of solidarity, though. Oh no. Instead, we should use this moment to develop a serious campaign against all the prevalent forms of hatred in this society. Dr. King declared, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied together in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one affects all indirectly." In this truth, I invite you into a moment of prayer with the Reverend Charlene Belsom Zelmer as we share the adopted words of Jessica Vasquez Torres. Source of life. Source of life, who is known by many names, overturner and illuminator of hearts.
We gather with gratitude for the earth and all who journey in it. We give thanks for the interconnectedness of all creation.
Support for those without support, stronghold for those without protection.
We declare openly the times we have fallen short from hearing the plight of the creation yearning for justice, from seeing the harm our way of life and our policies inflict upon the creation.
Let us not forget, source of justice, who is known by many names. Let us not swerve from the path of righteousness that leads to just and equitable relationship.
Open your eyes that we may see the immigrant and the undocumented, whose labor enables and sustains our living.
Give us the courage to remain with those crossing our borders, escaping economic oppression and political persecution, seeking work to support their families, aspiring to participate in the bounty of creation.
Give us the strength to confront the prejudice and the intolerance of those who are fearful, and respond by closing our borders to those who sojourn here seeking life and opportunity.
Give us the will to leave behind the safety of our sanctuaries and temples and claim our place in the movement to transform creation. In our daily living, let us be guided by the highest estimate of the worth and dignity of every person, regardless of their legal status.
And let us not forget that the creation is founded on justice, and that we have the moral responsibility to bring forth justice into these times together. May it be so.
Amen.
Good morning. I'm Abhi Janamanchi, one of the ministers serving Cedar Lane Unitarian Universalist Church, and I welcome you to this multi-faith community vigil and press conference. We have quite a number of people gathered here. As was mentioned earlier, we have religious leaders across faith communities, we have community leaders, we have elected officials and their representatives, as well as faithful members of communities in the DMV Sanctuary Congregation Network and our county. So welcome, all of you. I would like to introduce some of the folks who are here, and then we will proceed with the vigil so that I'm not interrupting the proceedings, which I do have a habit of doing. We have among our faith leaders today participating in our vigil our Pastor Vidal Rivas from the St. Matthew's Episcopal Church, and Dr. Harminder Kaur, who is an active leader in the Guru Gobind Singh Foundation here in Rockville, Maryland, as well as a member of the executive committee of the Interfaith Network of Montgomery County. Rabbi Jonathan Roos, who serves Temple Sinai, is the senior rabbi and also a member congregation of the DMV Sanctuary Congregation Network. And we have Reverend Amanda Poppy, senior leader at the Washington Ethical Society and also a member of the DMV Sanctuary Congregation Network. And we have Reverend Noel Anderson here from the Church World Service, one of the co-sponsors of our gathering today. Reverend Alexis Kasim from the Little River United Church of Christ in Annandale, Virginia. We also have Rabbi Jason Kimmelman Block from Bend the Ark, also a co-sponsor of today's event, and Cynthia Marshall, who is the lead organizer for, where is Cynthia? There she is, you just switched. For Action in Montgomery, AIM, and one of the organizations here in Montgomery County working on immigration justice issues, among other things. And we also have a few elected officials. We have from the town of University Park, Ms. Martha Wells, who is the council member from Ward 6. Welcome. We have Mr. Dale Tibbetts, who's the special assistant to Mark Eldridge, our county executive. Council member Will Jawando, who's here with us. And we'll kind of applaud everyone at the end. And Delegate Jared Solomon is here. Representing District 18, District 18? And we have any other public officials who are here that we may have missed? Would you mind standing? All right. And then we have religious leaders from various faith denominations, both members of our Sanctuary Congregation Network, as well as the larger community. If you are comfortable doing so, would my colleagues please rise so we may recognize, appreciate, and thank you for being here. Thank you. And our elected officials, would you please rise so we may also recognize you. Thank you. And I forgot, we have some high school students from the Berry School in Silver Spring, Maryland. And we also thank our members of the media who are here in strength. We are grateful for your presence here today. Thank you. I would now like to invite Pastor Vidal Rivas to come share the context in which we have gathered. Welcome.
Vamos a leer un pequeño texto del profeta Isaías, capítulo 10, del versículo 1 al 2.
We're going to read text from Isaiah 10, chapter 10, verses 1 and 2.
Pobre de aquellos que dictan leyes injustas y ponen por escrito los derechos de la maldad. Dejan sin protección a los pobres de mi pueblo, roban a los pequeños de sus derechos, dejan sin nada a la viuda y despojan al huérfano.
What sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. They deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows and take advantage of orphans.
Si el profeta Isaías habla de esta manera, es porque siempre han existido personas con una conciencia y un corazón pobre del amor de Dios y el amor a sus semejantes.
So if Isaiah has said this, since then there's always been in existence people who are poor at heart and don't care for others.
Lo triste es que todo ser humano no ha entendido que viene de Dios y que debe representar a Dios en este mundo.
The sad part is that not all human beings understand that they came from God and must represent Him in this world.
Es una belleza encontrarnos con todas las comunidades de fe, sin importar denominaciones de judíos, musulmanes, hindúes, budistas o cristianos. Todos sentimos el dolor y luchamos por la justicia.
It is beautiful to see all the different communities of faith come together, whether Muslim, whether Jewish, whether Buddhist. We all, Christians, we all come together. We all feel the same pain and love for our neighbor.
Y en este día nos hemos reunido para apoyar a Rosa Gutierrez Lopez, que a mí en particular me conmueve mucho, ya que donde ella nació, yo trabajé el 84 y 85 y conocí a su familia.
And so we're here together to support Rosa Gutierrez Lopez, who touches my heart in particular because during the years of 1984, 85, and 86, I worked in her hometown where I met her family at that time.
Y al estar en este lugar, viendo personas como Rosa, nos damos cuenta que en este país hay miles de familias como ella sufriendo por un gobierno, un sistema que ha perdido el sentido de gobernar.
And by seeing folks like Rosa and families, thousands of families who are being impacted by a system, by a government that is not putting into place the right laws and decrees in order to support these families.
Y queremos decirle a todos los que gobiernan esta gran nación, sabemos que desde la Corte, el Congreso, el Senado y la Casa Blanca, la mayoría de ellos dicen tener fe y tienen una Biblia en sus hogares.
And I want to make a call to all those in power in our government, whether it's the Congress, the Senate, or the White House, because they all claim to have faith and own a Bible at their home.
Queremos decirle, como decía el gran arzobispo San Oscar Romero, que esta semana cumple 39 años de haber sido asesinado, que la Biblia no es una pieza de museo, es la palabra de Dios que tiene que cambiar nuestras vidas.
And I want to say in the words of Archbishop San Oscar Romero, whose birthday happens to be in this week, that the Bible is not just a little piece of furniture that hangs on our living rooms.
Y queremos decirle a todos los pastores de las distintas denominaciones que atienden a todos los políticos de esta nación, que les hagan conciencia que ellos son servidores públicos y están para servir y no para oprimir ni crear leyes injustas que hacen tanto daño a un pueblo inocente.
And I want to charge you, fellow faith leaders who do come in contact with your local government officials, to remind them that they are here to serve the people, not to create unjust and unfair laws that damage their own people for which they have been called to serve.
El crear leyes injustas es igual que darle muerte a un pueblo que lucha y que quiere vivir con dignidad y tener derechos.
Creating unjust law is killing a people who are trying to make it in this town, in this place, who are trying to survive and push forward.
Y de la misma manera que pecan estos políticos, también pecan sus pastores que atienden a estos políticos cuando llegan a su iglesia, porque no les hacen conciencia de ser luz y de aprender lo que decía el profeta Ezequiel. Hay que tener un corazón de carne y no un corazón de piedra.
And so the same way that these governors or officials, elected officials, sin, the same way do we sin as pastors or as faith leaders when we allow them to come into a church and we don't call them out and teach them and remind them that, as the prophet Ezekiel said, that we ought to have a heart of flesh and not a heart of stone.
Y yo quiero decir a todo el pueblo que dice creer en Dios, estamos en el tiempo de Cuaresma y no basta con golpearse el pecho o elevar la mano mirando al cielo. Dice el profeta Joel y el profeta Isaías, no solamente quiero cantos ni inciensos.
And I want to remind everyone, especially for those who celebrate as we're in Lent season, that it's not just about pounding your chest and raising your hands, but I'm reminding them, as the prophet Joel said, that it's about worship and it's about faith.
No solamente es suficiente oraciones y cantos. Dios quiere justicia y este pueblo tiene que hacer justicia y nosotros tenemos que luchar para que esa justicia sea viva.
It's not just about chants and singing, it's about justice, and God requires and demands justice, and that's what we're here for.
Sabemos que esta gran nación es un país en su mayoría de cristianos y Cristo dijo, hay que ser luz, sal y fermento del mundo. Si queremos que cambie, todos vivamos lo que Jesús nos mandó, amémonos y seamos un solo pueblo.
And while the majority of the folks in this country claim to be Christians, then I'm reminded you, as Christ said, that we are to be called the light and the salt of this earth.
Si queremos vivir como un solo pueblo en unidad y en amor, aprendámonos a respetarnos, a vivir en unidad y entendamos que el mundo le pertenece a Dios, igual que usted y yo somos pertenencia de ese Creador, sin importar la denominación que seamos.
So I just want to say that if we want to live in that unity, as we ought to live in that unity, then we need to remind ourselves that we are one people and that we serve the one God and that we're here together is the only way that we can move forward.
Ánimo, Rosa, eres una mujer valiente. Y al igual que ti, hay hombres y mujeres también luchando y esperamos que al igual que aquí está esta gran comunidad que nos está sirviendo de soporte, así también hay otras comunidades que quieren luchar. Sigue adelante, que Dios está contigo y Dios no te abandona.
Keep up the good work, Rosa. Keep up the good work, because here is evidence that there is a community behind you. And just like them and just like you, there are several people and thousands who require and that are seeing you. And so move forward and keep going the way you're doing.
Gracias a ustedes por ser un pueblo noble, un pueblo que lucha por la verdad y la justicia. Y Dios a través de ustedes también nos habla porque apoyan a nuestros inmigrantes. Y yo como inmigrante me siento honrado y amado por ustedes.
And thank you to you as the community, because your support is what helps us to move forward. And me, as being an immigrant, and I being an immigrant, I am humble and honored to see the support that you provide as a community today.
Que viva la justicia y la verdad. Que Dios les bendiga.
May justice and truth prevail. God bless you.
Good morning. I'm here from the Sikh community and also as a mother in support of Rosa. I'll first say the prayer, a Sikh prayer for you and your family, Rosa. It's by our fifth Guru, Guru Arjan. And this prayer is very powerful. I have a personal copy for you to keep with you. It says, Tati vauna lagai par brahm sharnai, chogird hamare ram ka dukh lagay na pai. The hot wind does not even touch one who is under the protection of the Supreme Lord God. On all four sides, I'm surrounded by the Lord's circle of protection. Pain does not afflict me, O sibling of destiny. Satgur pura petya jin banat banai, Ram naam aukhad diya eka livlai rahao. I have met the perfect true Guru who has done this deed. He has given me the medicine of Lord's name, and I enshrine love for the one Lord. Rakh liye tin rakhanhar, sab byad mitai, kohna nak kirpa pe prabhe sahai. The Savior Lord has saved me and eradicated all my sickness, says Nanak. God has showered me with his mercy. He has become my help and support. So those of us who seek the ultimate sanctuary, the ultimate support, are always supported. So now as a mother, Rosa, you're a strong woman, a champion mother, a sincere, honest, and a very hardworking miracle human being. You have done everything a champion mom would have done to take care of her children. You have proven to be an example to many of us by doing the right thing, by sticking it out for the protection of your kids and family. Reading your story brings tears to my eyes, but a smile on my face, because now I know why they say mother is the name for God in the lips and hearts of little children. By William Makepeace Thackeray. What you have been enduring is not fair. It's rough and unjust. But you are a forgiving mother, so you know in the deepest corner of your heart that you will overcome every obstacle. We have gathered here to offer prayers and best wishes to you and your dear ones to reunite and live as a family like all of us are doing. Please forgive us on behalf of the ignorant and hostile administration that has separated children from their parents, and therefore America will never be able to provide for its citizens their dreams until atrocities like these keep on occurring. Like Abdul Kalam says, if a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, I strongly feel there are three key societal members who can make a difference. They are the father, the mother, and the teacher. Thank you, Rosa, once again, for being Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur. My name is Jonathan Roos. I'm the senior rabbi at Temple Sinai in Washington, D.C. I want to thank Cedar Lane for hosting us today. Doña Rosa, gracias. Thanks to you for your inspiration, your courage, and your example. And I want to thank in particular my friends and colleagues from across the Jewish community who are here with me today, in particular Ben the Ark Jewish Action, who stands with us and has helped to support us, and all my colleagues and partner organizations. This evening in the Jewish community, we start the holiday of Purim, which commemorates the story of Esther from the Bible. In our tradition, before we retell her story, we offer a prayer. We say, "Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who has done miracles for our ancestors in their days at this time." But what we should ask, what was the miracle? We were saved in that story from the evil plans of Haman, the villain, the personification of evil itself. Haman sought the destruction of our people. He wanted them gone from the land. The Bible tells us explicitly what he hated in Esther chapter 3. Haman hates people who are different from him, who have different ways. His accusation of them will sound familiar. They are criminals. They have no respect for your laws, he tells the king, in a refrain that echoes the threats against immigrants to this very day. It's not just Haman's words, however, that we recognize, but his tactics as well. Haman's plan to instill fear, to remove and destroy those whom he hates, starts with the power of the purse. The king tells Haman in Esther 3:11, "The money is given to you, Haman, and the people too, that you may do what you want with them." That is how it begins. We know discrimination. We know hatred. We know xenophobia when it walks into a mosque or a church or a synagogue and leaves bloodshed in its wake. But let us also remember that it takes shape through policies and practices. It takes place and it becomes manifest in the perversion of a system of justice and through the allocation of resources. Haman doesn't start with murder. He starts with the budget, and that has not changed to this very day. When we invest in the systematic perversion of justice, when we invest in separation, the return is hatred. When we invest in love, the return is goodness and hope. But we know from the book of Esther, and we know from Doña Rosa, that there is a power that can overcome such injustice and xenophobia. Look, the name of God never appears in the book of Esther, the only book in the entire Hebrew Scriptures in which the name of God is not explicitly mentioned, and yet we bless a power that did miracles in the days of our ancestors in our own. We don't in that prayer. We don't ask for and we don't expect divine intervention. Esther didn't, we don't. We ask for human insight, for courage and action, grounded in the understanding of values that transcend us, but remain rooted in the thought of the one from whom all courage flows. But it is in our hands, the hands of our elected officials, our neighbors, our friends, our family, our siblings, all of us, as we say, "Blessed are you, source of life, wisdom, justice, and courage, for the miracles of our ancestors in their day, and the power for it to not happen again in ours." Amen.
Let us welcome members of the DC Labor Chorus.
Mexican border to pay all your money to wait back again. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosarita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. They won't have a name when they ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. He made in his life. Brothers and sisters come working the fruit trees and railroad the trucks till they took down and died. Some of us are illegal and some are not wanted. Our work contract's out and we have to move on.
600 miles to that Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. Died in your hills, we died in your deserts. We died in your valleys and died on your plains. We died neath your trees and we died in your bushes. Both sides of the river, we died just the same. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon. A fireball of lightning that shook all our hills. Who are these friends all scattered like dry leaves? Radio says they are just deportees. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mi amigos, Jesus y Maria. They won't have a name when they ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. Is this the best way that we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good food? To fall like drones to rot on our topsoil and be called by no name except deportees. Goodbye to my one, goodbye, Rosalita. Adios, mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You don't have a name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees.
Thank you. We will now hear some stories from people who have been impacted by these unjust policies and this broken immigration system. Orquídea Hernandez and her family, her son, her daughter-in-law, and her 2-year-old grandchild entered the U.S. looking for asylum on Christmas Eve 2017, escaping violence in Guatemala. But instead of being given access to due process, they were detained and separated when they were all sent to different detention centers. And Yeslin and her son, the infant son, were subsequently released, and after 14 months of being in detention and separated from her family, Orquídea was released and reunited with part of her family. Her son is still in detention. Orquídea, we welcome you and invite you to share your story.
Okay. Buenos días a todos.
Good morning.
Es una bendición poder contar con su presencia.
It's a blessing to have you here present with us.
Somos una familia muy pequeña.
We're a very small family.
Decidimos dejar nuestro país por intimidación y amenazas de muerte.
We decided to left our country because of death threats and intimidation,
Del cual tuvimos que atravesar todo México
which we had to go through across all of Mexico
para llegar hasta este lugar.
to come here.
Veníamos sin guía y sin ayuda de nadie,
We came without guide or help from anyone,
el cual tuvimos que sobrevivir
and we had to survive
por 6 meses.
through 6 months,
durmiendo en el piso,
sleeping on the floor, on the ground,
comiendo en la calle.
eating on the streets.
Con mi nieto enfermo de 2 años
With my grandson being sick, 2 years old,
y mi nuera traía 4 meses de gestación.
and my daughter-in-law was pregnant, 4 months pregnant.
Ingresamos el 24 de diciembre de 2017
We came December 24th, 2017,
por la frontera de Tijuana por el Paso del Águila.
through Tijuana border, El Paso del Águila.
En el trayecto fuimos intersectados por migración,
In our journey, we were intersected by immigration,
siendo enviados a diferentes lugares de detención.
where we were sent to separate different detention centers.
A mi nuera la liberaron por su embarazo y por el bebé que traía.
My daughter-in-law was set free due to her pregnancy and the young child she came with.
A mi hijo lo enviaron a Folston, Georgia,
My son was sent to Fallstown, Georgia,
donde estuvo 12 meses.
where he was held for 12 months,
Luego fue trasladado a Charleston, Carolina del Sur,
where after that he was transferred to Charleston, South Carolina,
donde lleva por todo 15 meses detenido.
where he's been there for a total of 15 months detained,
Separado de su familia,
separated from his family,
negándole la oportunidad a sus hijos de tener el cariño y la representación de un padre.
and denying the opportunity to his children to have the representation and love from their father.
Que ahora el niño tiene, Alessandro, 3 años y Dylan, que no está presente, tiene 9 meses.
And now Alessandro is 3 years old, and Dylan, who's not here, it's already 3 months old.
Se está perdiendo la oportunidad de verlos crecer.
He's missing out on the opportunity to watch them grow.
Lo que son los primeros meses cuando un niño da un pasito.
Because those first few months is when the child takes their first steps.
Es la alegría de un padre ver su primera palabra, oírla y verlos caminar.
It's the joy of a father to listen to that first word or to see them walk for the first time.
Porque me da mucha pena, mucho pesar la decisión del juez.
It's a shame and burdensome to hear the judge's decision.
De haberle negado su fianza por ser joven de 24 años y por ser peligro de fuga.
Because he denied his bond because he was 24-year-old and a high flight risk.
Para mí es una angustia tan grande
I have such a great anguish.
porque es mi único hijo.
He's my only son.
Somos una familia tan pequeña
We're a very small family
que ahora creció con mi otra hija que es mi nuera.
that has now grown with my other daughter, who's my daughter-in-law.
Teniendo el juez en sus manos mi condición física,
Knowing the judge about my physical condition,
del cual le fue manifestado que solo me queda 1 año de vida.
where it was revealed that I only have about a year left to live.
No quiso prestarle atención
He didn't care.
para darle los últimos abrazos a su madre,
To give him the last few hugs to his mother,
ya que me han diagnosticado que cuando me cambian en un cardio desfibrilador que tengo en mi corazón,
because they told me that when they change out a charge of a defibrillator that I have placed in my heart,
no resista en la operación.
I may not resist the operation.
Porque he tenido preinfartos
Because I've had pre-strokes.
y llegué a un estado terminal cuando me colocaron mi aparato.
And I became terminal when they placed the...
Y esa angustia y zozobra que mi hijo mantiene en esa detención
And all that anguish that my son has being detained
le ha causado una desestabilidad emocional, física y psicológica.
has caused emotional, physical concern, instability.
Y no solo eso, las condiciones precarias que se viven en esas detenciones,
Not only that, but also the issues in the way you live under those conditions in that detention center,
donde no existe la humanidad.
where humanity is not present.
Le han diagnosticado muchas enfermedades ya.
They've already diagnosed several illnesses
de la cual no traía.
that he didn't have before.
Y para mí es muy doloroso, no sé si resista.
And it's very painful for me. I don't know if I can withstand it.
Cuando fui enviada yo a Otay Mesa, San Diego,
When I was sent to Otay Mesa, San Diego,
estuve 13 meses detenida.
I was held out for 13 months.
Y me duele porque sé lo que es estar en una detención
And it's painful because I know what it's like being detained,
con alguna enfermedad
being ill,
de la cual a ellos no les interesa.
and they don't care.
A mí me decían,
They used to tell me,
te estamos tratando del corazón, si te mueres de lo otro es tu problema.
we're going to treat you for your heart condition, but if you die of something else, well, that's your concern.
Pero yo creo que me estaba matando más la agonía de no poder ver a mi hijo ni conversar con él.
But what was really, I believe, killing me was that anguish that I couldn't see or speak to my son.
Al año pude escuchar su voz y preguntarle cómo se sentía.
After a year, I was able to hear his voice and ask him how he was doing.
Son lugares donde se aguanta mucho frío, se aguanta hambre y un trato desagradable.
There are places where it's very cold and you go hungry and the treatment is not the best.
Y no le interesa tu condición física,
And they don't care about your physical condition.
porque supuestamente para ellos hay donde se pueda atender médicamente.
Because according to them, there are places where you can be seen medically.
El juez me negó a mí todo porque yo no tenía nada que hacer en su país.
The judge denied everything because he said that I had nothing to do here in his country.
En cuanto que en nuestros países son bienvenidos todos.
Though in our country, everyone is welcome.
Y qué difícil es querer vivir en este lugar
And how it is, it's very difficult wanting to live in this place
por una causa difícil en nuestro país,
because of hardships in our country,
de la cual no podemos regresar.
of which we can't go back to.
Pero la injusticia es tan vial
But that injustice is so real
porque no tienen conciencia ni corazón.
because they don't have a conscience or a heart.
No les importa tu testimonio.
They don't care about your testimony.
A nosotros nos dijeron que no estábamos mutilados para poder creernos.
They told us that we would have to be basically dismembered in order for them to believe us.
Que le mostrara un medio de tortura física, entonces me creían.
That I would have to show some sort of physical sign in order for them to believe me.
Pero solo al tenerlo a uno de rodillas con un arma acá es una tortura psicológica.
But just by having been nailed to the ground and put a gun to my head, it is physical torture, it's psychological torture,
De cual te marca toda tu vida.
for which you're scarred the rest of your life.
Y mi hijo está teniendo otra tortura psicológica estando dentro de esa detención sin causa alguna.
My son is being tortured psychologically, being held in a detention center with no cause, for no reason.
Cada vez que llama su grito desesperado,
Every time that he clamors desperately,
mi corazón se hace así.
my heart shrinks.
Porque uno no sabe la impotencia que siente uno de no poder hacer nada.
Because it's difficult not knowing that you can't do anything.
No sabe uno si regresar aunque muera ya o quedarse detenido todo el tiempo.
You don't know whether you should just go back and know that you can be killed or just remain here and be detained.
Porque en la detención que estuve hubieron muchas muertes en lo que yo estuve ahí.
Because while I was detained, there were actually several deaths that took place while I was there.
Y no lo sacaron a luz.
And that was not made public.
Y eso me da temor con mi hijo.
And I fear that for my son.
Que una noche llamó que tenía 70% de colesterol alto.
He called one evening saying that his cholesterol was 70% high.
Me dijo una vez una oficial a mí, pídele a tu Dios que te quite el dolor.
And one officer once told me, ask your God to take that pain away.
Porque hasta que amanezca tendrás que hacer una cita para ver si te atienden.
Because you're going to have to wait until the morning to make an appointment to see if they're going to see you or not.
Y le dijeron, a ella se va a morir, no es mi problema.
And they said she's going to die, and she answered, well, it's not my problem.
Yo me devanaba en el piso, muriéndome del dolor.
And I was rolling on the ground, dying from the pain.
Y cuando te ponen a trabajar te pagan $1.
And they put you to work and pay you $1.
Y si bien te va, son 3 a la semana para que tú puedas comprar algo.
And if everything goes well, then you might get $3 a week so you can buy something.
Porque a veces la comida está pasada.
Because a lot of times the food is expired.
Yo suplico su ayuda
I beg for your help
para que mi hijo se pueda reunir con su familia.
so that my son can reunite with his family.
Que si Dios me permite la vida,
And if God gives me life,
poder disfrutar de mi hijo.
that I can enjoy my son.
Y si no, pues poder abrazarlo antes de irme.
And if not, well, at least to hug him one last time before I go.
Y eso es lo que a él la agonía lo mata, mi condición física.
And that's what's killing him too. It's my knowing about my physical condition as well.
Cada día que amanece le digo, Señor, gracias por estar viva.
Every morning I thank God for being alive.
Porque moriré de pie luchando.
Because I'm going to die standing up fighting.
Y que Dios se apiade de este gobierno.
And may God have mercy on this government.
Porque dice Isaías 10, hay de los jueces
Because Isaiah 10 says,
que dan sentencias injustas
for the judges who give unfair sentences
a los pobres y afligidos
to the poor and afflicted,
y que no tienen compasión de ellos.
and who do not have compassion over them.
Que su misericordia esté con nosotros.
May his mercy be upon us,
Y que puedan estos niños
and that may these children
tener la presencia de su padre,
have their father present,
que es lo que más necesita una familia, su integridad,
which is what a family needs the most,
que esté unida.
to be united.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Doña Orquídea, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story, and we join you in solidarity, and we pray for you and your family and your son to be reunited soon, and for your health. Our second testimonial is from Eddie Macario, who I met for the first time last summer when I joined Cynthia Marshall from AIM to visit him at the Ordnance Road Correctional Facility in Glen Burnie, Maryland. We met Eddie from the other side of the glass and got to visit with him and get to know him. I was deeply moved and inspired by Eddie's deep and abiding faith in God and commitment to ministry, which he had organized at the detention center for his fellow inmates. And when we prayed with Eddie, he insisted on praying with us, for us, blessing us, our families, and our ministry. And in our conversation, I learned that Eddie had been a lay youth minister at his father's church in Guatemala, working with at-risk youth, getting them to leave gangs and becoming engaged in the church. And the success of his efforts put his life in danger and led him to flee to come to the United States. And here, Eddie continued his ministry by getting involved in a local church. And after the explosion of the Flower Branch apartments a couple of years ago in Silver Spring, where Eddie and his family lived, he pastored to the many of the survivors and became an important source of solace and strength to them. He also became a spokesperson for the group and advocated for their needs before the Montgomery County Council. His testimonial inspired other survivors to step forward and share their stories. A week later, Eddie was picked up by ICE. Now, Eddie finally got his day in court. And during the hearing, which I did not have a chance to witness, but many of my colleagues did, many clergy packed the courtroom that day. He shared both his story and his commitment to this ministry and why he felt called to be engaged in this work. And the judge listened. And then a miracle happened, and it is a miracle. The judge cleared him of everything and let Eddie go back to his family. And the prosecutor let the judge know that they were not planning to appeal. So I lift this up because we do get sometimes so mired in the despair that we feel around the inhumanity of our system. And sometimes we do encounter those moments that uplift the spirit and help us hang on to that resilient hope and to be engaged in this work. So I would like to invite Eddie Macario to share some of his story.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. For us as immigrants, I'm really happy to see diversity here. Latinos, bienvenidos, compañeros, paisanos, brothers, USA citizen, and other brothers from another countries. Thank you for being here. Like the Pastor Abby says, my name is Eddie Macario. On August 2nd, 2018, I was going to work at 6 in the morning when 3 cars approached my car, one in front, one on the side, and one behind. And they asked me if I had a license, and I said, yeah, I do have. And then the officer asked me to step out the car, and I did. 2 seconds after, he took my hands behind and he put me ready to go to the detention. And I told him, what did I do? And he says, no, it's a bad day for you, but it's a good day for us. And I told him, hey, consider my case. In 2016, I was living in a Flower Batch apartment where the gas explosion happened, and I lose everything. I thank my God that I'm alive. 7 persons died that day, 2 children. And he says, he don't care, we don't care. You are an immigrant, that's your fate. They take me to Baltimore and move me to Glen Burnie Detention Center and held me for 4 months, where I lose 20 pounds. My daughter, she was on that time 1 year and 4 months. She started to forgetting my face. When one of my family come and visit me with my little daughter, she was like, who this guy is? She didn't remember me. She born here. I'm an immigrant. I came here in 2010. I was preaching in Guatemala, and like I told the judge, I try to run out of my call. Sometimes I say, God, I don't want to serve. I don't want to follow you. But somehow he pulled me back, and I'm here. In this country, I feel safe. I can practice my faith without fear of being killed or being kidnapped. I can walk through the streets without of the fear of being killed. I like this country. I love this country. And like the other speaker says, we are on an immigration law broken. And I told these immigration officers, I have a daughter, 2 years old. She needs me. And he says, okay, we don't care. And I once again said, she is a USA citizen. She born here. And he said, okay, don't worry. Once again, I want to thank you all because to see the diversity here, I feel in love. I don't feel hate here. I feel safe. Seeing you all here, I feel in family. I thank AIM for being there for me. I thank Luisa, who I met today. She were doing a lot of calls for me, for my case. Thank you, all the leaders from the churches. That's the love of God. My dad passed away in 2015. He was a Christian. And he told me, my son, we are Christian. But in this world, there are another religions. There are Catholics, there are Jews. But my son, don't make that separate you from the society. Love them, respect them. If you think and you believe different than them, it doesn't have to make you hate them. You don't have to hate them. Love your neighbor just as you are. My case was hard. AIM went to one university professor of Baltimore, and they explained my case to him, and he says, no, Eddie had no chance. His case is lost. But I'm here today. I thank you all for praying for me, for being there for me. Thank you. And I want to say, Doña Rosa, Dios está con usted. La sociedad está aquí con usted. La queremos, la amamos. Porque somos hermanos, somos humanos, tenemos un mismo Dios. Tal vez podemos llamarlo diferentes nombres, pero solo es un Dios, un creador. Siga adelante, estamos aquí para apoyarla. Dios está con usted. Thank you for.
Thank you, Pastor Eddie, for your words and for your faith. It renews my faith. Thank you. I would like to invite Pastor Maritza Cruz, who is Doña Rosa's pastor. She co-pastors with her husband Walter at the Iglesia Church in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where Doña Rosa and her family were very active members. And I feel Pastor Maritza would do more justice introducing and welcoming Doña Rosa, who is now a part of our community here at Cedar Lane and has been in so many ways our teacher. In not that she chose to be, You know, we say that sometimes we are called to ministry and sometimes ministry calls us. And I think in Doña Rosa's case, life called her into this role that she has stepped into with courage and grace in the midst of such deep heartbreak and adversity. So it has been a blessing, again, a blessing that comes out of our privileged lives, to be able to somehow learn to live into being a sanctuary and to learn what a colleague of mine calls the fragile art of hospitality. So, that being the case, I would like to invite Pastor Maritza to introduce Doña Rosa.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
El Señor les bendiga a todos los que están presentes en este lugar.
God bless all of you here present today.
Es para mí un privilegio el estar acá y poder ver a tantas personas reunidas en un mismo sentir por justicia.
And it's a privilege for me to be here in this place and see so many people united for that one cause, justice.
Como dijo el pastor Avi, mi nombre es Maritza Cruz.
As Pastor Abid said, my name is Maritza, Pastor Maritza Cruz.
Mi esposo Walter Cruz y yo pastoreamos la iglesia del Nazareno de Fredericksburg.
My husband, Pastor Walter Cruz, and I pastor the church of La Iglesia del Nazareno in Fredericksburg,
En donde Rosa asistía.
where Rosa used to congregate,
Y en donde sus hijos todavía asisten.
and where her children still go.
Sus hijos están viviendo con nosotros durante todo este proceso.
Her children are living with us throughout this whole process.
Porque era imposible de que ella los pudiera traer a este lugar.
And because it was impossible for her to bring them with her to this place.
Ha sido un proceso
It's been a process
que nos ha tocado vivir a la par de Rosa.
that we've had to live alongside Rosa.
Noches sin dormir,
Sleepless nights,
porque hay que explicarle a los niños por qué mamá no está ahí en donde siempre ha estado. Ellos nunca se habían separado de ella.
because we have to explain to the children why their mom is not there where she used to be there always, because they had never separated from their mom before.
Los hijos no tienen que estar separados de sus padres.
Children are not meant to be separated from their parents.
Rosa es una madre luchadora a la que yo conozco hace aproximadamente 6 años.
Rosa is a fighting mom, and I've known her for approximately 6 years.
Y en el tiempo que yo tengo de conocerla, no ha hecho otra cosa que esforzarse y luchar por el bienestar de sus 3 hijos.
And from that time since I've known her, she's done nothing else than to fight for and move forward to provide for the well-being of her 3 children.
Ella y sus hijos tienen que estar unidos nuevamente.
Her and her children must be united again.
Las familias, como lo dije, no tienen que estar separadas.
Families, as I said, are not meant to be separated.
Nuestros niños necesitan a papá y a mamá juntos para crecer emocionalmente bien.
Our children need mom and dad together so that they can grow up emotionally stable.
Ha sido un tiempo duro para Rosa y para sus hijos.
It's been a difficult time for Rosa and her children.
Bien duro.
Very difficult.
Pero ella tiene la esperanza en que las autoridades
But she has the hope that the authorities
de este país estudien su caso.
and that the authorities and the governors of this country will review and study her case.
Y se detengan por un momento a pensar lo difícil que es para estos 3 niños estar sin su mamá.
And to stop and think for 1 minute how difficult it is for these 3 children to be separated from their mommy.
Por un momento.
Just for a minute.
La Biblia nos dice que es necesario cambiar nuestro corazón de piedra por uno de carne para tener la sensibilidad de saber qué ocurre con nuestro prójimo, qué está pasando a nuestro prójimo.
The Bible tells us that we must change from a heart of stone to a heart of flesh so that we can understand what is happening to our neighbor.
Hay tantos niños sufriendo
There's so many children
por
suffering
estar separados de sus padres,
because they're separated from their
por
parents.
algo que aún en su inocencia no logran entender.
Because of something that through their innocence they just cannot understand.
¿Cómo le explicamos a niños ciudadanos americanos nacidos en este país que papá o mamá tienen que estar alejados de ellos porque el gobierno así lo quiere?
How do we explain to children who are born here, citizens, that their mother or father cannot be with them together because the government says so?
En estos últimos tiempos creo que por todos los lugares en los noticieros podemos ver el sinnúmero de familias separadas porque hay muchas rosas allá afuera, hay muchas orquídeas allá afuera peleando por querer ver sus familias unidas nuevamente.
And today we see so many cases on TV because you know what? There are thousands of rosas out there and there are thousands of orquídeas out there who are trying to fight so that their family can be united again.
Y es momento
And it's time
que nuestra voz se levante para apoyar a nuestras familias inmigrantes,
that we lift our voices to support our immigrant families,
teniendo en cuenta que muchos somos inmigrantes también.
understanding and having present that many of us are immigrants as well.
Rosa ha sido una mujer luchadora a la que he visto caerse llorando, pero también la he visto que se levanta creyendo que aún la última palabra en su caso no está dicha, porque ella ha creído en un Dios todopoderoso que es un Dios de justicia.
And I've seen Rosa fall to the ground crying in concern, but I've also seen her pick herself back up with the understanding and the knowledge that there's a powerful God and that the last word has not been said about her case yet.
Por favor, congresistas,
Please, Congress people,
escuchen la voz de esta pobre madre,
hear the voice of this poor mother,
Rosa Gutierrez Lopez,
Rosa Gutierrez Lopez,
que lo único que anhela su corazón
that the only thing that her heart desires
es estar nuevamente con sus hijos,
is to be reunited with her children,
para cuidar de ellos,
to care for them,
para darles el abrazo que todos nosotros ahora podemos darle todas las mañanas a nuestros hijos.
to be able to hug, to give that hug that we do give our children every morning.
Es momento
It's time
de que esto pare.
that this stops.
No más familias separadas.
No more
No
separated
más
families.
niños solos sufriendo emocionalmente por no tener la caricia de su padre o de su madre.
No more lonely children suffering emotionally because they don't have the loving touch of their father and mother with them.
Como líderes de fe sabemos que hay un Dios poderoso que todo lo puede.
As faith leaders, we know that there is an almighty, all-powerful God who is able to do anything and everything.
Y todas estas personas que están pasando por estos diferentes casos creen en ese Dios poderoso.
And all of these people who are going through all of these different processes and challenges, they do believe in this almighty God
Al que no le agrada la injusticia,
who does not like injustices.
no se goza con la injusticia.
He is not pleased with injustice.
Así que sigamos adelante,
So let's press on,
creyendo
knowing and believing
que Orquídea
that
va a
Orquídea
volver a estar con su hijo.
will be reunited with her son.
Rosa va a volver a estar con sus 3 hijos.
And that Rosa will be reunited once again with her 3 children.
Hoy sus hijos están aquí en este lugar.
Today, her children are here present in
Les
this
voy a
place.
pedir que se pongan de pie para que los conozcan María Salomé y Juan Pablo Gutiérrez.
I'm going to ask them to stand up, María Salomé and Juan Pablo.
Estos 2 niños necesitan a su mamá afuera.
These 2 children need their mommy out there.
Dios me les bendiga.
God bless you.
Quiero invitar a Rosa que pase a este lugar.
I want to invite Rosa to come forward.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Sean todos bienvenidos.
Hope you're all welcome.
Gracias por todo el apoyo que me están brindando.
Thank you for all the support that you are giving to me.
Les voy a contar brevemente un poco de mi historia, ya que muchos ya la conocen, pero hay nuevas personas que quieren escuchar de mi historia.
I'm going to share my story briefly, because I do know that several of you already know, but there are new people who still yet to know.
Mi nombre es Rosa I Gutierrez Lopez.
My nombre es Rosa Inés Gutierrez Lopez.
Soy de origen salvadoreña.
I'm from El Salvador.
Llegué a este país el 11 de diciembre,
I arrived in this country December 11th.
al cual yo vine pidiendo asilo político
I was seeking political asylum
porque yo tuve amenazas de muerte en mi país.
I was being threatened. I received death threats back home in my country.
El 11 de diciembre yo me entregué a migración y el 10 de enero del 2006 yo tuve una corte.
So on December 11th, I went in to immigration, turned myself in, and around January 10th, I was given a court date.
El 10 de enero yo perdí mi corte.
I missed that court date on January 10th.
Desde entonces yo tengo una orden de deportación.
Ever since, they've issued a deportation order against me.
En el 2014 migración me buscaba y yo me puse en comunicación con ellos y estuve viniendo a checarme a Fairfax cada año.
So around 2014, immigration contacted me and I replied, and since then, they asked me to begin doing check-ins in Fairfax.
En el 2017, 16 de mayo, yo vine a Fairfax a chequearme y mi sorpresa fue que el 17 de mayo, el siguiente día del 2017, me mandaron a Richmond solo para que me pusieran un grillete en mi pie, el cual yo ahorita lo tengo puesto.
So on May 16th of 2017, I came in for my check-in in Fairfax, and little did I know that they would ask me to go to Richmond on the next day, on May 17, 2017, at which point during that check-in, they gave me this ankle monitor that I'm showing you.
Para mí fue un día muy frustrante porque dije yo, estoy aquí casi 12 años y venir a ponerme un grillete para mí fue muy doloroso porque los tratan a uno como criminales.
So I was very disheartened, to say the least. I've been in this country at that point for 12 years, and to have had an ankle monitor placed was very upsetting, needless to say, because I've been being treated as a criminal.
En octubre me obligaron y me presionaron fuerte que yo tenía que comprar mi vuelo para irme de regreso a mi país, cuando ellos saben que yo vine porque estaba amenazada de muerte.
So around October, they began to put a lot of pressure on me to purchase a ticket to go back home. And it was really difficult because they knew that the reason why I'd come here is because I had been threatened death. I received death threats back home.
El 10 de diciembre tenía yo mi vuelo para irme de regreso a mi país, pero yo decidí quedarme por luchar por mis hijos, porque mis hijos me necesitan aquí.
So on December 10th, I had my ticket purchased and I was supposed to go back home, but I decided to stay to fight for my children because my children need me here.
Porque si yo me iba, mi caso de asilo yo no lo podía pelear allá. No, era imposible. Yo tuve que tomar santuario porque yo amo a mis 3 hijos, en el cual yo tengo un niño que tiene Down síndrome y él me necesita aquí y tiene muchos especialistas.
So I knew that if I went back home to El Salvador, I would not be able to fight my political asylum case from there. It would be impossible. So I decided to stay so that I could fight for my children. And even my youngest child has Down syndrome. I knew I had to fight for him.
Él no está presente hoy porque él cada miércoles recibe terapia ocupacional y terapia para que él aprenda a hablar.
He's not here today because he has speech therapy and occupational therapy every Wednesday so that he can learn how to speak.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yo les hago un llamado a los senadores de Virginia y a los senadores de Maryland que por favor intervengan lo más que puedan en mi caso.
And I'm calling on the senators in Virginia and the senators in Maryland to please intervene in my case on my behalf.
Por favor, ayúdennos a toda la comunidad inmigrante porque hemos recibido ataques de odio. Y nosotros venimos a este país es a trabajar y también porque estamos amenazados de muerte, que hemos venido huyendo de la violencia.
And so I ask, because we left our countries because of death threats, but the immigrant community comes here to work, and yet we're treated this way.
Y les digo que no es justo que los estén separando de nuestros hijos y de nuestra familia.
It's not fair. It's not fair that we've been separated from our children, from our family.
Ustedes no saben cómo es bien duro estar separado de sus hijos.
You don't know how hard it is to be separated from your child, your children.
Cuando mis hijos me visitan, ellos no se quieren ir porque ellos me extrañan mucho.
And when my children come visit me, they don't want to leave because they miss me so much.
Mi corazón se quiebra cuando veo a mi niño menor que él pone a llorar porque no se quiere ir.
My heart breaks when I see my youngest son when he begins to cry and weep because he doesn't want to go and leave mommy.
Así como el caso de Macario y de Orquídea, Orquídea no tiene por qué estar sufriendo por su hijo. Él es papá de 2 niños, el cual hay un niño que él no lo conoce, no comparte con él. Es duro para mí. Yo siento un gran dolor de tanta familia que se han separado los hijos de su papá, los hijos de su mamá. Es doloroso. Por lo menos yo tengo a mis hijos que ellos me vienen a ver cada fin de semana, pero las personas que tienen a sus hijos, que los tienen en centro de detención y que no ven a sus padres, a su madre, yo me pongo en sus zapatos porque esas madres, esos padres, es el dolor muy fuerte. Es duro estar separado de sus hijos o de cualquier familia que está en un centro de detención.
And so, as you heard from Macario, and then definitely you heard from Orquídea, you know, I just can't believe what her son is going through. And her son has 2 children, one of whom he's never met. And at least in my case, I get to see my children from time to time, and I get to hug them. But this is just an example of how much I can't even imagine the pain that he's going through not being able to see his children. And I can't even bear in mind what so many families are experiencing when they're being separated from their children, and especially those who are in a detention center where they don't have the access to get out to be able to be there for their children. I just can't even begin to fathom and understand that pain that they're suffering.
Nuevamente hago un llamado a todos los políticos, senadores y representantes que por favor cambien las leyes. Ya no es justo que nos estén maltratando porque psicológicamente los maltratan al separarnos de nuestra familia.
And I want to make a plea to all the elected officials, the politicians, the senators, and the governors to please change these laws, because we're being impacted, we're being hurt. Because when one is separated from their family and their kids, there's a psychological and emotional hurt.
El 19 de febrero yo recibí una mala noticia.
On February 19th, I received bad news.
que el juez que llevaba mi caso en Texas
That the judge who had my case in Texas,
revisó mi caso
he reviewed my case.
y dijo que él no podía reabrir mi caso porque los argumentos que se habían usado no eran válidos.
And he said he could not reopen my case because the arguments that were presented were not valid.
No es válido que mi vida corre peligro si yo me voy para mi país. No es válido que mi hijo me necesita aquí, que tiene necesidades especiales y que allá en El Salvador no hay ninguna clase de especialista que pueda atenderlo a él.
So what's not valid? The fact that I've been receiving death threats, and if I go back home, I have threats against me. What's not valid? The fact that my youngest child has special needs, and that even if I take him with me back home, they don't have the specialist that would be able to take care of him as he deserves.
Mi abogado está trabajando mucho. Él me dijo, aquí no se termina todo, vamos a seguir, vamos a apelar su caso. Entonces ahora es el tiempo de que los senadores me apoyen en mi caso y que ellos vayan con mis hijos y mi abogado para llevar la carta o algún documento para el stay of removal.
And so my lawyer has been working very hard, and he said that it's not over. We still have to fight. And that's my plea to senators, to go with my children to present a document, a stay of removal petition on my behalf.
Por favor, les pido con todo mi corazón y en el nombre de Dios que por favor me ayuden, intervengan, porque yo necesito estar con mis hijos.
And please, 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 from the bottom of my heart, in the name of God, please intervene because I need to be with my children.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias.
I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was a stranger, and you took me in. The kingdom of heaven will be yours. I was hungry, and you welcomed me. I was hungry and you welcomed me. I was hungry and you welcomed me. The kingdom of heaven will be yours. I was sick and you looked after me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was sick and you looked after me. The kingdom of heaven will be yours. I was in prison and you came to me. I was in prison and you came to me. I was in prison and you came to me. The kingdom of heaven will be yours. All you did for the least of these, for all you did for the least of these, for all you did for the least of these, the kingdom of heaven will be yours. was a stranger and you took me in. I was a stranger and you took me in. I was a stranger and you took me in. The kingdom of heaven will be yours.
Good afternoon. I'm Dale Tibbetts, Special Assistant to County Executive Mark Elridge. He very much wished to have been here today with you in solidarity against these cruel, unjust, and immoral excess practices that separate you from your family. Montgomery County is committed to building and maintaining a safe and inclusive community. Understanding, tolerance, and respect are the hallmark of the Montgomery County way. Social justice for all is what we strive to achieve in this county. We are proud of the faith community publicly practicing love for thy neighbor. As your local elected officials, leaders, we will continue to speak out and speak up on behalf of all of our residents to promote the values that define our community. Montgomery County will remain an inclusive and welcoming place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale, on behalf of the County Executive. I'm Will Jawando. I'm a member of the Montgomery County Council at large, which just means I represent the whole county. I'm so sorry for what you all have gone through. I feel such shame that our country is at a place where this is how we treat people. And I just want to let you know that though evil has been done against you, you are welcome here. You're welcome in Montgomery County. In the book of Zechariah, the 7th chapter, verses 9 through 10, these words are recorded. This is what the Lord Almighty said: administer true justice, show mercy and compassion to one another. Do not oppress the widow or the fatherless, or the foreigner, or the poor. Do not plot evil against each other. But here we are plotting evil against each other. We stand here in the great state of Maryland, the home of Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. And as I drove here today, it was hard for me not to think about the great history and tradition of the abolitionists who worked with Harriet Tubman and many others in this state and in other states to house runaway slaves in homes, in cellars, and in churches. Indeed, if you travel less than 10 miles from here to Sandy Spring and stand on the hallowed ground that now is marked with plaques in museums where we properly remember the people and the places who were at one time persecuted, men, women, and families who sought one thing, just to be free, and the people who opened up their homes and their churches and their basements to house these people and push back against the prevailing wisdom of the time and the law of the time that said that these individuals were not allowed to be free. So here we are today on what I believe is hallowed ground again, in the modern day Underground Railroad, where this network of churches that Cedar Unitarian is a part of, with so many others across the country, that are stepping up and fighting against the prevailing time and injustice that we see today. I think in years from now, I will take my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, if I'm so blessed, to visit markers here and other places across the country that are standing up for what's right. We find ourselves confronted yet again with a call to conscience as we deal with the consequences of an unjust, broken, and immoral immigration system. And what will we tell our children and grandchildren about where we stood during this time? Were we silent? Did we not open our churches and our homes to those in need? I know everyone in here, I know where you will be. We're dealing with a president and administration who make decisions about who can stay or go in this country based on race, ethnicity, and religion. And I'm the son of a Nigerian immigrant whose father left Nigeria in the 70s in the aftermath of a bloody civil war. So I stand here today as a living reminder of what a generous America means to so many. The opportunity for a better life, to raise your family in relative safety, free to worship your God, to contribute to your community, which you've heard everyone on this stage has done in tremendous ways, and to leave a legacy for generations to come. It seems we've forgotten that this is the true American story. So as we stand again today here on hallowed ground with Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Lopez and everyone that's here, we stand here with Cedar Lane Church. We stand with all the people of conscience here and cry out that this unjust immigration system must change. I spoke to my wife. We have a 2-month-old son, and when you were talking about the young children that haven't met their father, in your case, your son, it makes me very sad because I have 3 beautiful daughters, but then we just had our young son. And the thought of not being able to see him and be with him when he smiled at me for the first time, when he starts to roll over, when he doesn't sleep through the night. Every parent should be able to experience that, and I'm sorry that you're not. Any one of us in this room would do anything to protect our children. And that's all that people are doing right now. They're coming here for a better life, an opportunity to take care of their children. And this president has made a conscious choice to prioritize families, women, and children for deportation and for detention. Not criminals, women and children and families. These are decisions that have targeted certain groups and have dire consequences, as we see reflected here today. So, Ms. Lopez, Ms. Hernandez, everyone up on the stage, I'm here in solidarity with you. The County Council of Montgomery County is here in solidarity with you. If you want me to come with you to petition your case, I'm happy to do it. And we are going to do everything we can here in Montgomery County to make sure you are safe and welcome to the extent possible. And we love you.
Good afternoon. My name is Delegate Jared Solomon. I bring greetings from Annapolis, and I have the honor, along with several of my colleagues, in representing this wonderful community of Cedar Lane in Annapolis in the General Assembly. And I just want to say, Rosa, bring greetings from my colleagues who unfortunately were not able to be here today. You are loved, and you are supported. And I just want to thank the community for all the love and support that you've shown Rosa, and you've shown so many other people. I spent a lot of time before getting elected to the General Assembly working on immigration policy issues and working with families in Pennsylvania, and it breaks my heart to think about what Rosa is experiencing, because a lot of the families that I worked with went through the same thing, and unfortunately, you know, we hear this repeated over and over and over and over again, and I think a lot about my family. My family came to this country from Eastern Europe. My wife's family came from Italy, from Ireland, and we've spent a lot of time over the last few years kind of tracing our lineage. And I think most of us in this room would say at one point or another, our families were strangers in this land. We came, my family came, my wife's family, because they wanted an opportunity to build a better life, to provide better opportunities for their children. And that's all that Rosa is asking for. And that's all that we're asking that Rosa be given the chance to do, is to provide a better opportunity for her family, for her children, to escape a situation that I think many of us can't even really imagine. I was just really struck by Rabbi Roos's comments that these kind of actions don't happen in a vacuum. This is my first term. I've only been in the General Assembly about 65 days so far. And I often think a lot about, you know, we sit and we write laws and we talk about policies, and I wonder if many of us are thinking about the real people that those policies impact. And the situation that we find ourselves in today did not happen by accident. At the federal level, when we look at foreign policy, many of the actions that our government took 10, 20, 30 years ago created instability in many of the countries in Central America that have driven people out of their homes to come here. And the policies that we talk about today that impact families, impact Rosa, that impact our loved ones, are not by accident either. And it is contingent and it is necessary as a policymaker myself to think about those kind of actions and what those policies mean for the people who have to deal with them. Obviously, most of these policies are at the federal level. But at the state level in Annapolis, we are doing everything we can to make Maryland as welcoming as possible for immigrants, for people who are trying to come here to build a better life. We will continue to do that, whether it's through, you know, making higher education more accessible to dreamers, to making sure that our state government is not working with federal immigration officials. And I would urge many of you, you know, to be active. We have about 3 weeks left in our General Assembly session this year. We still have several laws and bills that are, bills that are in the process of working their way through the General Assembly that could have a tremendous impact on families and individuals in our community. And I would urge you to support those, to make sure that they get across to the governor's desk, to send a message to Washington, so that our federal lawmakers know that their constituents will not take it anymore, that they demand action at the federal level. And so Rosa, Eddie, Ms. Hernandez, I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues. You were loved, you were supported. I am happy to come with you as well when you make your petition. And I'm sorry that this is what you're dealing with, and we will do everything we can to make it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your statements of support and also for your willingness to join us, and we will take you up on it. I have a brief statement from State Delegate Al Carr, who couldn't be here with us and sends his regrets. He writes, I stand with clergy and fellow elected leaders to call on the United States Congress to end cruel immigration policies that lead to the separation of families. These nativist policies are rooted in ignorance and hatred and have no place in our society. Besides being morally deficient, cruel policies such as these are a waste of resources and do nothing to make us safer or improve our well-being. And friends, we've been going through this for a while now. It's been rich, it's been full, but we do have a few more colleagues who are here to share some thoughts, and in the interest of time, I would request that you keep your comments brief, and also we will skip one of the songs, one of my favorite songs, and then we'll sing at the end and kind of take us out from there. So, Amanda?
The Somali poet Warsan Shir writes, "No one leaves home unless home is the mouth of a shark. You only run for the border when you see the whole city running as well." As a humanist at the Washington Ethical Society, I know two things: that every person is worthy and worthy of love and of welcome, and that we as humans are responsible for the mistakes that we have made. Delegate Solomon spoke about the American influence in Central America in particular that led to the conditions that so many are fleeing, the mouth of the shark that they are running from. Those responsibilities are ours and our mistakes to correct. And it is out of that that we are compelled to act against white supremacy in all its forms, including in our policies in this country. Soy una madre también, y mi corazón por eso es con todos ustedes, con sus hijos y sus nietos. Ana.
My name is Noel Anderson with Church World Service, and I help coordinate the national effort on the sanctuary movement alongside other key organizations like Faith in Action, and of course the Unitarian Universalists, all really strong in this movement. In the last 2 years in the post-election, we have really grown the sanctuary movement by tremendous ways across this country, from 450 congregations involved to now over 1,100 congregations, from 12 sanctuary coalitions to now over 50 coalitions in 36 states, from 5 public sanctuary cases to now 47 public sanctuary cases. Just like Rosa, fighting to stop their deportation in the church, claiming sanctuary. Last year, 10 of those public cases were able to get relief from deportation. And of course, thousands of more immigrants are being assisted, accompanied all the time to fight their deportation cases. Last Thursday, we delivered, along with the Sanctuary DMV Congregations Network and other clergy in the area, we delivered letters from Rosa to Senators Keynes and Warners on Capitol Hill. Rosa's children came with us. Then we went to ICE headquarters to deliver a petition of 2,500 people for Jeanette Vizquera. Now, Jeanette is also a sanctuary leader, a mother, a grandmother, who had gotten a stay of removal for 2 years after being in sanctuary. And she was voted, she was listed as one of Time Magazine's 100 influential people. She then, now unfortunately, last Friday, her stay removal ran up. And so now she is back in sanctuary at the First Unitarian Society of Denver. So I just wanted to lift up her story too, because she has been one of the real leaders in the sanctuary movement, just like Rosa. These powerful testimonies we heard today, these people are the prophets of their own time. They are the leaders of the sanctuary movement. They are speaking truth to power. They are fighting to be with their families, and for not just their families, but all those families that are oppressed by these unjust laws. And it is an honor, I think, for all of us in the faith community, elected officials alike, to walk along your side in solidarity.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexis Kasim, and I bring you greetings from Little River United Church of Christ in Annandale, Virginia. And though our time is short, I want to close us with a story that I'm reminded of when I think of the work that's ahead of us. This story comes from the Gospel of Mark in the New Testament, and for those of you who do not know much about the life or the ministry of Jesus, he was known to perform many miracles of healing. It's said that he freed those who suffered from a variety of things that restricted their ability to see, their ability to move, and even their ability to breathe. In this particular story, Jesus is at home one day, and a crowd of people find out that he's at home, and they go there to receive healing. The text says that the crowd was so large that you couldn't even get near the door. Yet nearby, down the road somewhere, was a man who was in need of healing. He was paralyzed and unable to leave his home on his own. The scripture goes on to say that a group of people came and got him, put him on a stretcher, and they carried him to the house where Jesus was. Now, where this gets interesting and important for us is because the text doesn't say who this group of people was. We don't know where they were from. We don't know what ethnicity they were, what gender they were, or their political affiliation. We don't know anything about their status in our society. The text simply says they saw a brother in need and cared enough about his well-being that they decided to work together to help him get the healing that he needed to be free from all that held him back from living his life. Now, when they finally arrive at the house where Jesus is, the crowd has gotten even larger, and they can't get through the front door with the man on the stretcher because other people won't move out of the way to make room for them to get what they need. So those in this mysterious they could have left him out front and pushed through the door to see Jesus for themselves, but they did not abandon him because at the end of the day, yes, they cared about his physical well-being, but they also cared about his spiritual and emotional well-being as well. So they worked together to figure out another way in. And so as the story goes, this group goes around back, they scale the side of the house, and they make a hole in the roof, and then they lower this paralyzed brother into Jesus' living room, essentially, so that he could be free from what ailed him. Now, some of the people who already had easy access to Jesus were quite mad that others were now coming in from all directions. But it's important for us to see how Jesus responds. The scripture simply says, he saw their faith and he healed the paralyzed man. Then he told him to stand up, and after spending his entire life fighting without the use of his legs, the man stood up on his own 2 feet and went on to live a full life. That's the kind of support we in the faith community and those of us in the greater community need to be for those seeking asylum and sanctuary. We need to be this they that works together to bring healing and freedom to our neighbors. As we've heard from the stories that have been shared today, we know that we are uniquely positioned to have the moral courage to reject this framework of scarcity that we've been given, which pits immigrant against citizen, neighbor against neighbor, and a competition for supposedly limited resources, and that keeps us isolated and fearful of one another. We are uniquely positioned to compel our elected officials to make the moral choices in the budget process and in other proceedings to overcome this fear-mongering that is tearing at the fabric of our nation. Orquídea, Eddie, Maritza, and Rosa, you are all catalysts for our faith and mirrors to look into to see how deeply we are committed to the gospel. This is our time, and this is our chance to show the world who we are and the God we believe in. So I urge you all to join us this coming Monday. You can pull out your phone and make a note to yourself. This Monday morning, March 25th, faith leaders will be joined by Rosa's children, and now by Delegate Solomon and Councilmember Jawando, we're gathering at the ICE office in Fairfax to submit a stay of removal on Rosa's behalf. And we urge you to join us in person. If you're not able to join us in person, you can join us on the phone by calling Senators Warner and Kane specifically. You can tweet it, you can post it on Facebook, anything that you can do to show your support, we would be grateful. But this is really our time to join together in making sure in our community, everyone has the right to be free. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, colleagues, for your words and your call to action. I leave us with these words from Rabindranath Tagore as both a prayer and a call to action. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards excellence, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way in the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my God, let my country awake. And now let us once again join our hearts and voices in song before we depart. Let us welcome the DC Labor Chorus.
Yes, it's been mentioned that these dangerous conditions in El Salvador are what people are fleeing. They were as a result of United States intervention in the 1980s. And you should all know that Donald Trump's administration is trying to intervene in the country of Venezuela right now. They're trying to sell it as humanitarian effort, but it is not that. It is strictly for oil, natural resources, and the Trump administration security advisor, John Bolton, even came out and said this on Fox TV, is so they can take the oil. And so I just want to say to the lawmakers to please register your opposition to what is actually a coup in Venezuela. Thank you.
We need the Buddhists and the Baptists, the Quakers and the Catholics too, atheists and agnostics, Muslims and the Jews. We need people from all nations, all colors and all creeds. Put an end to war, put an end to greed.
Gonna take us all, make a change. Take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all.
We need the immigrants and the unions, Greens and the gays, hip-hoppers and the beboppers and the women for equal pay. Farm workers out in the sun, homeless out in the rain, seniors and the soccer moms for a world that is humane.
Gonna take us all, make a change. Take us all to win the peace.
take us all in the streets. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all. Gentlemen. We need your friends and your neighbors, the poets and the painters, socialists and the anarchists, the pacifists and the humanists. Every culture and community, it takes black and white and brown. Times we won't see eye to eye, we'll stand on common ground. Gonna take us all to make a change, take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets, gonna take us all. Gonna take us all in the change, take us all to win the peace. Gonna take us all in the streets, gonna take us all. Gonna take us all. Gonna take us all.